So I am 38, almost 39 years old, never been married, could have been a couple times by now, but there was always something in the pit of my stomach that just said, no, this isn't it. And I finally figured out why. I want a marriage. I don't want a wedding. And until you're ready to give yourself emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically to somebody else for the rest of your life, making them your priority over anything else, you're not ready either. And that's okay. That's okay. We as women, we've been taught, you go to school, you get married, you buy a house, you have babies. That might not be your happiness track, and that's okay. But trust me when I say you are looking for a marriage, not a wedding.
These girls think that they still have time to chase the chads before they get into a long-term marriage. This woman is 38 and she could have gotten married, but she is still out here looking for the one. She's still out here looking for a real marriage, guys. Someone to put her first, sink their soul into the relationship and put her first, because that's what it's all about, I suppose, isn't it, gentlemen? But guys, what is going on? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, guys, we're going to be having a bit of a look and a talk about marriage. Our favorite topic, gentlemen, as you all know, 2021 marriage, bit of a joke for men, not the best thing, unless you just want to lose all of your money, I guess, or, your resources, maybe your kids too, if you've got those. You're welcome to getting into a marriage, guys, because really these days you're not really marrying the woman. Who you're actually marrying is the government. But guys, before we crack into it, if you're new here, you're liking the videos, make sure you subscribe on your way in. Come and join the Discord, link in the description if you haven't already. And as always, guys, if you'd like to support the channel, make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description. If you're looking to become a supporter of the channel and help us grow, that's a fantastic way to do it, and the link for that is somewhere below the video. But guys, we're going to be dissecting this TikTok. I'm jumping into a couple of articles today, and yeah, we're going to be talking about marriage, guys. So as we go through it, feel free to leave your thoughts and comments below, and we're going to break this down together.
I am 38, almost 39 years old, never been married, could have been a couple times by now.
No, see, you could have been many, many times by now. Okay, girls have the options in relationships. All right, like they have the option of the guys come to them, okay, and they select the men. So when they say, oh, I've had no, you've had way more than a couple, right? There are guys out there who you were in your 20s, they'd be happy to have a long-term relationship with you, look after you, take care of you. But you're still out here at 38, excuse me, looking for that guy to come in and look after you, right?
But there was always something in the pit of my stomach that just said, no.
Yeah, and that's called the entitlement. That's called thinking you deserve better. Okay, so what happens is girls will get into relationships, guys, and this is really important. Girls will get into relationships, but still be on the lookout for the next best thing. So when their gut's telling them no, what they're really saying is, oh, I think I could still probably secure a guy who's better. So I'm going to hold out to get married. I'm going to hold out to have kids on the chance that I can still secure Chad. And before you know it, they're 50. Nobody wants them at all. And then they're crying, where are all the good men, while they're living alone with their cat and their boxed wine. Like it's the same story over and over again, really.
This isn't it. And I finally figured out why. I want a marriage. I don't want a wedding.
Wow, what just absolute... And you notice the music picking up because it's just such a profound statement, right? Like, the interesting part about this, right, is a lot of girls will actually do this, right? What they do is they actually get married for the marriage. A lot of girls don't want to be wives. They don't want to be... See, they want the thing... They want to be able to say, oh, look, a man wifed me up. I got a ring on my finger worth this amount. They're after the ring, they're after the prestige. They don't care about maintaining the relationship afterwards. Now, not all guys, right? But most marriages end up that way. I mean, you look at the divorce filings, gentlemen. Most of the divorces filed are by women. Okay? A lot of girls are not cut out for long-term relationships. Okay, we got guys out here wanting to pour their heart and soul into every girl that they meet. Gentlemen, you have to be careful with that crap, right? Especially if you're talking about marriage. Your stuff is on the line. Okay, like I don't care if you've got a prenup or not. Prenups can be voided. Like I've talked about marriage before on this channel, guys, and people go, "Oh yeah, just get a prenup," right? No, no, no. Prenups can be voided incredibly easily if the lawyers are good. Hell, even if the lawyers are bad, I'm pretty sure they can be voided. Like it's not that hard to quote unquote prove duress, right? Like these girls will, oh yeah, well I felt pressured into signing a prenup, or prenups don't necessarily cover everything, and like you run into all sorts of issues. Um, when at the end of the day, it's safer not to get married. I mean, talk to some of the guys in the comments; they'll tell you. All right, this stuff isn't fun.
And until you're ready to give yourself emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically to somebody else for the rest of your life, making them your priority over anything else.
Yeah, see, so a couple of points to make on that. Number one, obviously, she's talking both about herself and the partner she wants here. Okay, so she's saying, hey, until you're ready to commit to a man, you can go out there and have fun, which is cool. I mean, enjoy yourselves, ladies. If you want to go out there and have fun on the streets, don't expect a marriage afterwards. But maybe you'll find some simp to come along and pick up the pieces for you. But um, like, hey, if you wanna go do this street behavior, I don't care. I really don't. Like, you're not going to be my wife. I couldn't give a crap about it. Okay. Um, like, yeah, go have your fun, ladies. But the other thing she's talking about here as well is she's also talking about, um, she wants those qualities in a man, right? She wants a man who's going to commit and have a real marriage with her, not some fling. She wants a real man to step up, be with her spiritually, emotionally, invest fully, make her the priority as well. All this kind of crap. Might I add to that fiscally as well? Got to open up the wallet, gentlemen, right? See, when these girls, you'll notice on dating apps and stuff like this, you'll get these older women in their 40s, 30s, whatever, maybe with a couple of kids in tow. And you see, when they're on these dating apps and they're looking for a partner, oh, it's all about looking for the commitment then. You see, because they need someone around to provide for them. Okay, whether that be with your money, which it usually is, or whether that be with your time to look after the kids, or just be around the house, you're there to alleviate her anxiety. She didn't want you before. Okay, a lot of these girls, like what they'll do is they'll hit up men that they have no interest in before, but now they need someone to provide for their life and supplement their lifestyle or help them out. Then the men become viable options. You see, this girl still thinks she has time. No, like what they do is they rely on their looks in their youth, and then when they get older, they think to themselves, "Oh well, damn, now I need a man because I can't rely on my looks anymore." Right? It's like it's disgusting because they don't actually care about the other person. You see, that's the problem, right? Like the caring about the other person isn't actually something that's considered, right? Like that would be it's all about practicality and the need for it now.
You're not ready either. And that's okay. That's okay. We as women, we've been taught you go to school, you get married, you buy a house, you have babies. That might not be your happiness track, and that's okay.
And nobody's denying that, right? Like if you're not into that, that's totally cool. No, nobody cares, right? But if you want those things and you dismiss them early in life, then we've got a problem because you run out of time. Like you actually run out of time. Like if you want to have kids, if you don't want to have kids, that's cool. But if you want to have kids and you're waiting till you're 40, I mean, your chances like basically zero, no? Like your biology just can't facilitate that anymore. Okay? And same with marriage. It's like all you're doing is narrowing your pool until the time when nobody wants you at all. And then they'll be like, oh, well, why won't nobody commit to me? Why is nobody there for me? Blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, these girls have literally the most attention, right? The most choice possible out of everyone on the planet.
Okay. But trust me when I say you are looking for a marriage, not a wedding. So
Yeah, so basically, too long didn't read. Woman gets older, looking for girls. You got to look for serious relationships, not those guys who you can show off and who are fun, excitement, and butterflies. Yeah, guys, we've heard it all before, right? And hey, if this lady doesn't want to get married, that's cool. If girls don't want to get married, I don't care. But this lady specifically said she's looking for a marriage, and she's 38, and there's no ring yet. And she's had the opportunities. I mean, just hold out longer, right? Like, Keep chasing Chad. Who really gives a crap? But guys, we're going to jump into today's stories, have a bit of a look at some other ones here. We're pretty rough on marriage on this show, and there is a reason for that. Okay, you go into the comments, you talked with some of these gentlemen who have been married and divorced, and you let me know, right? Like, do you want to go through that? No, thank you. No, thank you. And the good thing about the internet, gentlemen, as well, as we jump into today's one of today's stories here, if we've got time, we'll do a couple. But one of the good things about the internet that's come of it is the fact that, people are allowed to talk to each other. Men are allowed to talk to each other. Hey, we get shut down a lot, right? But at least we're allowed to share our ideas and kind of go, hey, wait a minute, guys. I really don't think marriage is the play. Like, I really don't think it is. And, we can share that opinion with other men on the internet. They can choose to either say, yeah, that makes sense, or no, it doesn't. But at least we have the option of talking to each other as men and kind of navigating through this crap. Because when situations like this come up, which we're about to get into, it's really useful to know what exactly is going on. But guys, the title of this article is, I think my 30-year-old male wife, 30-year-old female, is becoming attracted to her boss and he is reciprocating her affection. What should I do to tackle this issue? Now, this is a long one, so I'm just going to start reading through and we'll kind of stop once things start unfolding a bit. All right. My wife started a job over a year ago at a small game company. She was ecstatic to get a real job where she could make an impact as a game designer. She got promoted to lead game designer a little while ago and is incredibly happy to be in charge of much of the project with a lot of folks working underneath her. Ever since she started, she's been working very closely with the CEO of the company. Some background on this guy. He's foreign, tall, charismatic, rich, and cultured. He's roughly 50 and is still relatively fit. Plays hockey as a hobby. He drives a top-of-the-line Tesla, lives in a very large and beautiful home, and he lavishes the office with fancy tech and regular meals and gifts. She frequently comes home and tells me about his personal life, his wife, his stepkids. As well, she tells me about how he's been making $400,000 plus a year since he was 20. She also regularly mentions how nice his house is and has been bringing up the idea of us upgrading to a larger house for the dogs, she says. I hear about this guy has basically been printing money from one business to the next and how he rides the stock market like a high roller. My wife gets upset if her boss doesn't like her ideas. She'll be in a rut about it for a couple of days or so, and I can see how grumpy she gets. It weighs on her if she's not good, in his good graces. At the same time, she doesn't think he's a bit silly sometimes with his requests for how the game should be. She does think that, excuse me. All right, so, we already got here. We got the classic hypergamy taking place. Now, guys, if you don't know what hypergamy is, there's all sorts of definite, you can go do your reading on that. But basically, it's girls are seeking out the best possible partner available to them. And what that means is they typically go for, all of the girls tend to go for the top percentage of men. Now, you may be asking, what does the top percentage of men look like, Taylor? It looks like this right here. We can take... we could take this one here, tall and rich, and we could basically call it a day at those ones, to be honest. There are other things that go into it, right? Like girls who are older tend to like provider guys more. Girls who are younger tend to focus more on the aesthetics, as we've seen at the start of this TikTok. But girls of all ages like guys who look good, right? And what you'll notice is girls in long-term relationships and stuff like that can very easily monkey branch. Like, relationships of 5 years don't tend to mean a lot when the options are still available on the plate to her, ready to go. Okay, now this is a feature of human nature, gentlemen. People tend to be as loyal as their options. If you want to keep your girl around, I would suggest that you be the best option that she has. Because a lot of times, gentlemen, if you're not the best option she has, if she thinks she can get a better deal than you, well, then you kind of get tossed to the side. I'm sure you guys have been in relationships before. For those of you who are a bit more experienced, been around the block a few times. And what happens is you can just get ditched as a man, and she'll have another guy within a very short amount of time, and you'll think to yourself, well, what exactly happened here? It's monkey branching, right? So this woman's looking at this like, well, I'm possibly in a position to monkey branch. She's probably looking at the wife as an obstacle, but that's where they're at right here. Anyway. Blah, blah, blah. This was red flag number 1. She's being protective of him just because I agreed with her. So back here, sometimes she disagrees with his decisions and I make a comment like that sounds dumb and she gets defensive of him. goes from "I think his ideas are questionable" to "Why are you attacking my boss all of a sudden?" It really didn't escalate past that for a while. Then she started buying new clothes. Nothing terribly fancy. She has one of the managers, excuse me. She might be trying to dress the part. Could be a warning flag though. I even suggest she may want to buy new clothes as a manager, so not super weird. They were professional and appropriate for the office, so I'm not super worried. Then she bought whatever the hell this body wash is. A certain type of cleaning product for the shower. She doesn't take the impromptu showers or anything when she comes home from work, but that was a bit odd. She told me I should use it on myself to clean himself. I thought that was a bit odd. He's very thorough with his cleaning, uses everything, and it seems fine. I'm not a smelly guy by any measure, so it was an odd suggestion. This wasn't super odd, but if you add all of these things together, it might be a variable. And then we got invited over to her boss's house for dinner. I mean, stepping up, right? Like, you see how these things like slowly start to integrate. So what'll happen, guys, is like when girls monkey branch, what they'll do is they won't make it super obvious. Like sometimes they will, depends on how much they like respect you or how much they think that they can get away with, right? But a lot of times, like it'll happen right in front of you. Like she'll exchange number for, she'll pass it off as though she needs to be in contact with him for some reason or another. And like, I mean, it's not hard for these girls because you're in the same circle, right? If she's in the same circle, it can very easily be passed off as, oh, well, I just need to talk to him for this, or I just need to do this, right? And as a guy, like in your gut, you're like, man, this is a bit sus. Like my girl's acting as though we're not really, she doesn't need to be doing this, and yet she's going out of her way to do it. So what'll happen is your alarms will go off in your head, and you'll think to yourself, "Wow, this is a bit weird." And then she'll go, "Oh no, it's just normal. It's just normal." And the behaviors can very well be normal, but in your head as a man, what the hell is going on. But if you bring it up, you're some insecure, terrible person. That's the disgusting part about these stories that I find to be the worst, right? Is like these girls want to cry to the end of the days about gaslighting and all this crap, and yet they're literally, to me, man, they're literally the ones that invented this gaslighting crap because that's how they get from one relationship to the next. They have to do some sort of gaslighting. Oh, you're overthinking it, right? Let's continue. So where are we at? Blah blah blah. So then they got invited over for dinner. I met some of her co-workers, a friend of the boss who owns a brewery, and etc. They seemed nice. The boss dropped that he was making that much a year when he was 20-something in the first real conversation they had. I couldn't help but be reminded of my family's advice. My family is not poor by any measure, that rich people don't brag about how much money they have. They keep it to themselves. The boss has a very nice house, but it wasn't like a super baller rich millionaire home. I make more than six figures, and if I wanted to, I could likely afford the mortgage on this home. I don't though because I already have a nice and fairly large home and prefer to live within my means so that my wife and I can not only travel wherever we want, but also be financially dependent by the time we're 40. The other thing I noticed and overheard from the conversation is that the boss's wife hasn't been around for several months. She's away and the stepkids are all grown up. The boss mentioned he gets his better behaviors from his wife as he was entertaining us, excuse me, but he also mentioned to his brewery friend that it was lonely in the empty house. After that weekend dinner, the following week, my wife came home with some new dresses and whatnot. They were a bit higher quality than anything she would normally buy. Her family had to work for everything they have, so she can be a bit thrifty on her clothes. She does her hair all the time now, spends a lot of time in front of the mirror before going to work, and these new dresses readily show a healthy spoonful of the you-know-what, gentlemen. These kinds of dresses are the kind she used to wear when we were dating. She switched to more comfortable clothes after we got married. This is how relationships tend to go, right? Like, and I have to outline this to guys as well. I get Patreon questions and stuff that kind of warrant some explanation here, right? Girls will do this when they're trying to monkey wrench, get the attention. Like, we as guys, we know what the hell this means. Like, we're not stupid. We know that when our girl is doing behaviors like this, we know what's going on. Okay, and what will happen is when girls get into long-term relationships, marriage, or after a few months, once the honeymoon phase is over, basically once the oxytocin kind of loses its, for her at least, it kind of wears off. The dopamine her dopamine hits from you kind of wear off. What'll happen is she'll go, okay, well, I've got him, or he's boring now. Because what happened at the start of relationships, guys, is you shoot her a message, she'll get a hit of dopamine, right? Like she'll this is if she's attracted to you, right? She'll be like, oh, he messaged me. But then after those messages come rolling in over the months, over the weeks, right, it starts to become more and more boring. Okay, so what happens is she goes, well, I know I have this guy now. I know that it doesn't really matter too much what my behaviors are. I can, as long as I don't disrespect him too much, he's not going to leave. So I'm going to kind of put less effort into my appearance, right? And this is the beauty of the manipulation here, right? Because they can say, well, I'm wearing the clothes for myself. It's got nothing to do with you. Gentlemen, we all know that's not the case. Like we all know, okay? But yeah, girls will tend to tone this down over long periods of time, as a lot of you will well know. Then, most recently, she asked if I wanted to go out for dinner. We went to our local pub, had a good meal, chatted, then she brought up a question. Do you want to go to Spain? It turned out her boss had asked if she and I would like to go to Spain with him on a work trip. Apparently, her boss had suggested I come along, or else it might be weird. No one else except some co-worker who already lives in Spain would be with us. This trip is supposed to be a sightseeing locations they want to put into the game. What a interesting excuse, right? But my wife had admitted that her boss had wanted to go to Spain on his last vacation only a couple of weeks ago, and this was his excuse to go there. She also hinted that it might be boring at times, and we explore through random locations looking at how they would fit into the game. It felt like she was sort of trying to deter me from going. Instead of agreeing, I said no, I wouldn't mind going to Spain, would be fun. I asked, do small game studios usually do all expenses paid travel to design game levels? She replied, oh yeah, it's actually super common. I've read that a lot of folks are even saying it should be done more and involve the entire design team, even the 3D artists. I was also told the company had lots of money and could afford to do this. And guys, we're going to be wrapping up this story here. It's quite a long one, so I'm going to leave the link to the entire thing. But we're going to wrap up on these last couple of paragraphs here. In my head, I'm thinking to myself that even if this is all normal, this is going to become a recurring thing. This boss, has no qualms about up and traveling to various places around the world at any time because he has the money and resources to do so. Apparently, it's common complaint that he disappears for months sometimes and leaves the game project in a lurch. I'm not 100% comfortable with the fact that this guy who regularly goes out whining, dining, renting yachts, driving fancy cars, and visiting exotic locations has decided he wants to take my wife along with him. Could it be research for the game? Sure, maybe. It sounds like it's a bit more than something, and he's flaunting his money and taking my young, attractive wife along for the ride. I wonder why the boss's wife isn't coming to Spain with him. Guys, we're going to leave it there. I mean, bit of a textbook example of hypergamy, excuse me. And you have to question these sorts of things because these things will happen in relationships, right? You'll get guys who will go through relationships and they'll say, why isn't my girlfriend dressing up for me anymore? Why isn't she as interested in anymore? A lot of it comes down to hypergamy. Maybe she isn't interested in you anymore, excuse me. And because girls just get bored in relationships, man. I don't know, they get bored. They still think they have time out there chasing Chad when they're 38, and it is what it is. Nothing to get mad at, guys. It's just something to laugh at, really, because you'll end up, this generation will end up with more cat ladies than ever before. And it's going to be a wild ride, gentlemen. But we're going to leave it there. As always, guys, leave your comments below. What do you think? I'm going to leave the link to the full article in case you want to read the entire relationship post. I'm going to leave that in the expanded description below. If you enjoyed the video or you're new here, guys, make sure to subscribe on your way out. Come and join the Discord link in the description if you haven't already. And as always, guys, make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description if you'd like to support the growth of the channel. The link for that is also somewhere below the video. But guys, we're going to leave it there. As always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you boys in the next one. Peace.